All right, excited for our next guest, who, by the way, a lot of fans already excited seeing you on the pitch. It's been 3 games plus the preseason friendly. Russell Cicerone, thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, man.
Well, I feel like I kind of got to know you a little bit at the 10-year anniversary kit reveal party at Dust Bowl. We got to talk for a little bit. First thing that came to my mind was, man, does this guy have good hair?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I haven't really kept it long throughout my playing career, but I just wanted to do something different, and I've gotten a lot of good feedback. Especially from you, so
right.
It's good. Yeah.
Mostly from me. Your fiance's here, but I've been the one who's actually brought it up more.
Exactly,
Yeah, right. Well, welcome to Sacramento, man. What has your experience been like so far? I know it's only been a little bit of time here.
Yeah, I mean, extremely positive experience so far. I mean, the fans playing at Heart Health Park is amazing. We got a really strong squad. I think we can really accomplish something special this year. And I think for myself personally, I'm playing at a high level right now, and I think the fans are seeing that, and my teammates are seeing that. And so I think everything's starting off on the right foot.
I think obviously 7 points in 3 games already. You guys tied for the top of the table in Western Conference. Only allowed 1 goal so far. It seems like you guys are off to a start where you guys are clicking relatively well, but there has been certain instances where you can tell there is some newness there. There's some little moments where you're like, oh, see, if give them a couple more months, I think they'll get a little bit more used to one another. Do you guys feel that, or does it feel like you're getting closer game to game? Like, what does that feel like for you right now?
Yeah, no, 100%. We feel really strong playing together, but you can definitely tell there's some small details where the chemistry just isn't quite as up to where if you were been playing with those people for an entire season. So, yeah. I mean, we're growing every day, every training session. We're like the tendencies of what guys are going to do. We're learning about each other, and I think we're on a strong path right now.
You come into a team with 17 returning players. They go to the Open Cup final last year, so you might be coming in thinking like, oh, this is going to be a tight-knit group. But you have some friendly faces, a guy like Danny Vitiello who wanted a finder's fee credit. I don't know if he got it, but he wanted it.
He definitely wanted it. He brings it up pretty much every single day. So, But, the group was really easy to come into. A lot of good characters on the team. Yeah. I feel like I gelled right away, and I feel like all the new guys gelled right away. And it's just besides being extremely good players, they're really good dudes, and we have a great locker room right now.
When obviously you come from a pretty solid club, but when you come to Sacramento, like what was your impression coming into thinking about, okay, here's what I'm going to be jumping into this year?
Yeah, I just knew that with the returning squad that they had, the amount of fans they get, this is like a strong club in the USL that are going to be fighting for really big things each year, and that's what I wanted to be a part of.
I feel like you have clicked pretty quickly, not necessarily like on the pitch. Obviously, there has been on the pitch, but just, I mean, even at that event when I kind of met you and talked to you at Dust Bowl, like everybody was already at that, giving each other a hard time, and it's all like the kind of little things. The first chance I got to see you was the match against Monterey, the preseason friendly. You scored 2 goals. Seems like everybody was just locked in, and from there, obviously, a friendly is a little different from a regular season match, but from there, it does seem like you guys are pretty locked in, focused on one goal. Is there any sort of, questions that you like? What are the things do you feel like? Okay, we are still going to get better at these things as the season goes on.
Yeah, I think. Like of the individual talent that we have in this group is extremely high, and it's just about everybody doing their jobs at the right times, and when we can come together as a group in tough moments, which in the first 3 games we've already had to do that a couple times, and then from my standpoint, being an attacking player, maybe scoring more than 1 goal a game, which we haven't done so far in the first 3, but putting games away a little bit on an offensive end. But I think we have all the attributes, all the characteristics to be a really dominant team, and I mean, obviously throughout the season you're gonna find little things that you need to improve in here and there, but I think we have a really strong base, and the mentality of the guys is that we know we're really good and that we need to prove it every night.
What's the thing that I think that was so interesting is you come into that first game against El Paso, a tough place to play historically. But they've lost their first 3. They just beat Louisville on Saturday, as we were talking about before we started recording. Kind of a nice time to play that team. From what I heard, the pitch was fantastic. Usually it's a little more beat up because it's a baseball field. You get to kick off your campaign with a goal there. And one of the things I noticed, if you kind of watch back that replay, is Herrera's making a near post run, basically drawing the defender, and allows you as a far post runner to basically have an open goal. It seems like that's something that sometimes can take time, but first game, you guys are off to the races.
Yeah, I think me and Sebastian both extremely willing runners to run through the box. So you're like when you have guys like Jack and Dami serving in the type of balls that they do, you gotta have bodies that are willing to run through the box. Maybe even if it's not to score the goal, but it's to drag defenders out of the place. And I think that's like being like an attacking mid position, but being able to make those runs through the box. I think that's something a little bit different that I bring. And so far, it's paid off a little bit.
I want to ask you about the home opener, your first chance to kind of see the full force of the Republic faithful. What was your impression there?
I mean, it was awesome. It was loud in there. It was cool. It was rocking. I felt the fans behind me for sure. I mean, it allowed us to run a little bit harder, do a little bit more. I mean, we were down to 10 men. It was
right.
We needed that support. We got it, and I mean, with 10 men, 1-1, not a bad result.
No, I mean, a huge result. And Charleston's been pulling off good results to start the season. They are no slouch at all coming into this 2023 season. I want to ask about halftime at that game. So, obviously, you guys are down a man. Luis Felipe with some questionable decisions. I'm not going to ask you to bring any of that up. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'll take the fine. You just go ahead and you relax. So, obviously, one gets rescinded. We won't talk about the second one. So he's out. You guys know your back's against the wall a little bit. And it's kind of an interesting moment where it's like, all right, we're going to kind of learn a little bit about this team and what they're made of in terms of resilience and being able to come back. What was kind of the talk about at halftime that you guys were kind of refocusing into the second half?
Yeah, I think the main thing is that we didn't want to, because we were down to 10 men, just sit back and absorb pressure. We wanted to try to still impose ourselves on the game a little bit. We felt like we could find some good positions to hurt them. We also said that we need to come out with energy, but we couldn't try to get a goal within like the first 5-10 minutes because then we're gonna run out of energy. Run out of. But luckily we did get a goal pretty early. But I don't think we lost our shape, we lost our identity, lost our focus or anything like that, which was it's a tough thing to do, and it was really nice to see.
Then you go into obviously this last Saturday with a nice 1-0 victory over San Diego, a team that was the only team that had won every game so far at 6 points. I know it's still early in the season, but impressive from their point. A little bit of a statement when you get robbed of what, 2 goals, 1 goal?
Yeah, I mean
crossbar.
Yeah, I mean like I've had a couple.
I know.
The first 3 games I've had about a couple nice shots from distance that are just. I mean they're inches away from finding the top corner or something like that, but. I mean, I'm going to keep pulling the trigger, and hopefully one of them will find the back of the net. But no, I mean, we've been playing good. I've been playing good, so I've been happy. So.
Watching you in the build-up and the way that you create, it is something that I think this team has lacked a little bit. When Roro was off the pitch last year, the team really lacked creativity. Seeing you come in, adding Roro to that, guys like Keko. I mean, there's so many different creators now that makes you guys really hard to match up against, I think. Do you guys feel that, knowing like, okay, hey, they can't stop all of us. They can't stop all of our like. How do you guys talk about that going into games?
No, yeah, I think we know that because we can do certain things so well that they're going to put people in certain areas to prevent that, and then we know that the areas that they're going to leave, and we have the other guys that are going to fill those spots. And I mean, like on like our attack going forward with the 2 wing backs, Luis Felipe is an amazing midfielder going both ways. I mean, it's going to be hard to stop us.
Going back, I want to talk a little bit about kind of training camp and a little bit more of the player aspect. Have you gone 1v1 against Vidiello yet in training this year?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't done like breakaways or anything like that, but like just finishing. You know, he's loud. He's a character, so when he makes a save, he's going to let you hear about it. But you know, I've put a few away on him, so I think we're about 50-50.
About 50-50.
Right now,
Who's the biggest trash talker this year in training?
Oh man, a lot of guys like to
Chirp.
Let you know when you're on the losing side, and you know the captain Roro, he likes to talk a lot. We always question him on his decision. We say he's getting up there in age, so he's forgetting things and stuff like that. But no, I mean. A lot of guys, because we have so many competitors, they'll let you know, like, oh, I beat you today. And I'm one of those guys, too. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it's fun. They're training. But, I mean, goalies are always going to be loud. So Danny and Carlos are always chirping you when they make a save or when their team wins. But A lot of guys. I can't pick one.
No, I mean that's okay. But one of the things that I wanted to mention too is we had Dami on. I don't know, probably a couple weeks into training camp, and I asked him, I was like, "Who's been locked in?" He's like, "Russ." He's like, he brought it, and it sounded like from him it was like appreciation of like, all right, somebody new coming into the group and really bringing it every day at training camp raises the level of every single guy. Have you guys kind of felt that, especially training camp? Obviously, you guys are still, getting up to where you want to be. But I'm sure seeing that and having certain guys push you definitely helps. And being one of those guys yourselves is important.
No, I think it's been every training session so far and preseason camp has been extremely competitive, and I've had to come in every day like I like these guys, but I can't let them beat me out because they're good enough that they could be taking my spot any day. And so trying to fight for your spot, I mean, having that competitiveness in a team is what great teams do. So, I mean, Dami's a really good guy. He always asks me how I can run so much and so often. He's like, I want to be like you. And I was like, he's a really good guy. And no, but I get along well with him, and what a player he is too.
What has it been like playing for Coach Briggs?
Yeah, he's demanding. He asks a lot of us, but when he like being an attacking player, when I get into those offensive areas, he really lets me be myself. He wants me to do what it takes to score goals, get assists. But I mean, he's always harping on me to do certain things better, get into the shape when we're on the defensive side of the ball. But I mean, I think he's definitely pushing me to another level, and I mean, I have only good things to say about him so far.
Well, I'm sure there's a little bit of hair jealousy in there as well.
Yeah, that could be.
He's going to listen to this. I'm going to get so much crap for this.
No, honestly, he makes fun of my hair a lot of days
Oh, he
at training
does?
too. Because sometimes I come in and I don't want to do anything
it's a lot of
with it,
work.
and it's just like it's going all over the place, and most of the guys
I was
let me
joking
have
with
it.
him that I was going to ask you what kind of product you use in your hair as first question, just to throw you off. You're probably thinking I'm going to answer all these questions about soccer. Nope, question one.
Yeah,
it's
no,
a hair
you know what?
question.
Because I have to use a decent amount of it, I go for like the cheap, a little bit cheaper stuff because
Ah,
I'm running through
yeah.
it quite a bit. But now that I've been putting it up in a bun or something like that, I can slow down on the gel. But
Doesn't slow you down at full speed, does it?
no, that's what my dad says. He's like, "Oh, you're less aerodynamic." I'm like, "Dad, that's not making a difference, man." And I felt fast out there, so
It's not like you're a
sticking
car.
with it.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny. What is it? Have you gotten to experience much of Sacramento? We were talking about it before we started, but what has been your experience of the actual city so far?
Yeah, no, the city's really cool. I like walking around, Midtown area and stuff like that. And obviously, hanging out with the boys, they take me to different restaurants, and we just like to hang out. I haven't done anything too crazy, just because preseason's been tough and early season's been tough, and it's a little rainy here recently.
I know. We got to talk about that. So you move here. You're probably thinking, oh man, California weather. I can't wait. The sun's gonna be out every day, and it's been like 2 months of straight rain.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's definitely not what I expected, but coming from where I'm from, it's not bothering me too much. But no, with the group we have coming into training each day, even if it's raining, I'm in a good mood. So
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. What guys have taken you where? Where have you gone so far?
Where have we gone? Well, see, I told Danny that I like pho, like the Vietnamese dish, and now he's been bagging me. I took him one spot that I looked up around here that was supposed to be good. It's called Coriander. It was fantastic.
Yes.
And now every time he's like, "Do you want to get pho today?" I'm like, I don't know if I can have it again today. And so we've been trying new spots, and then the Federalist Pizza. That pizza was really good, and I don't know, been a bunch of spots, but I mean they're all good. Yeah.
One of the things that Vidiello is crazy because he drinks like 6 cups of coffee a day.
Yeah, just straight black coffee too. Yeah.
He's a maniac.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a goalkeeper thing, right?
Yeah, I mean,
definitely
you got to be
is,
a little strange to be a goalkeeper. So.
We talked about that, and he's like, "No, I take pride in the fact that I'm a little weird." And I'm like, "All right, man, good for you."
No, he wears it well for sure.
What's it been like? So, I mean, obviously, a couple home games. This is a very tough stretch you guys are in, right? You have on the road to El Paso, Charleston, and then the gauntlet. That's kind of what I've been calling it on the podcast, at least. Is like you have San Diego, Louisville, Tampa Bay, San Antonio, and Colorado. I think in 5 out of 6 games, and then Detroit, who's a good team as well. Yeah. Maybe that's all. But this is a tough stretch for you guys. Plus, the Open Cup's getting underway in next week.
Yep.
How do you guys kind of just take it game by game? Like, what is the thought process going into every week, and also making sure longevity is super important?
Yeah, you have to take it game by game. We haven't really spoken much about what we're going to do with the Open Cup situation coming in, but I'm sure, I mean, the staff is extremely smart. We got, and they're going to manage everybody and manage minutes, I'm sure. But game by game, we know Louisville, they've been one of the most dominant teams in the league for a while now.
Right.
And so it's always good to test your mettle against them. And them coming to us is a nice thing, too,
Sure.
playing in front of our own fans. So we're excited about that. And then, I mean, you're going to have to play the tough teams eventually. So, like we're at a good point right now where we think we're playing well. I think it's a good time for us to go up against them.
Do you guys pay attention to, so like for me personally, it's obviously different being a player, I assume, where I'm kind of watching, okay, who's beating who? Okay, this team may be better this year than I thought. They're looking good. I mean, it's 3 games in, so I understand it's a little early. But are you kind of watching certain teams to say, okay, maybe this team might be in the top tier in the Western or Eastern Conference or bottom tier, and especially coming from the Eastern Conference, like, are you paying attention more to the West teams than typically, or are you paying a lot of attention to the Eastern Conference because you know a lot of those teams?
Yeah, I mean, I always like to go back and look at these teams because I've played against them for so long now, but I've definitely been focusing on the Western Conference teams more just to see what I'm coming up against. So it's like what kind of differences there are, what they're going to be bringing to the table. But I mean, in this league, everybody's extremely good now, so you're not going to get easy games very often, if ever.
That's what's the best part of this league's been, and they come up in some of this last couple of years is like all the two teams mostly gone to where everybody's fighting every single day.
Yeah, I know. Like you could say like. Some of the games when you're coming up against a 2-team would be easier.
Right.
We could maybe rotate the lineup, do different things. But now if you're not on it, like every single game 100% all in, then you're going to be struggling for points.
Right. This is separate. We're going to kind of cut this up a little bit. But who, as a kid, like, did you always know you wanted to go into professional soccer? Like, was it a coach that kind of instilled some confidence in you? Like, what was that like growing up?
You know, yeah, I mean, I knew I was good growing up, but I was also a really good hockey player back in Michigan. And so coming out of high school, I actually just had to choose between playing college hockey and college soccer. And Stu Riddle is my coach at the University of Buffalo for soccer, and he was very confident in me. He really wanted me to come to UB, and it was a great decision for me. He definitely pushed me to the next level. I had a really fantastic freshman season, and that's. After my freshman year, I was like, wow, I could really make a career out of this, and I credit Stu a lot for pushing me to that level. Wow.
Do you think you have? I mean, you have clearly a lot of toughness on the field. You're fighting through guys constantly. Does that kind of that hockey background a little bit?
Yeah, I think I've always had like a good center of gravity. Strong on the ball, just being able to hold guys off for not being the biggest guy, and yeah, I mean, just understanding space and the runs people are making. It's similar to the positions you would filling lanes in hockey and stuff like that. So I definitely think they've benefited each other.
Not too many skating rinks in Sacramento. Just so you know.
Yeah, no, I've heard. I didn't even bring my skates out this way. So
Do you ever get like up against, or I guess there's not up against the boards, but there's a couple times where you're like, does the hockey instinct ever come in a little bit in soccer for you?
Yeah, sometimes you're going for a 50-50 and it's time to put go shoulder to shoulder with the guy. And like even when I have the ball, sometimes I'll put a shoulder into somebody when I'm on the move. Like we always call it initiating contact in hockey, or like a reverse hit type of thing. And you can kind of catch defenders off balance, and then. And once you get them off balance with that hit, then you're free to do what you want with the ball, and I feel like I've always been pretty good at that.
I want to ask a couple more questions, and then we'll let you go. You know, the team goes last year to the Open Cup final, and there is a lot of fans obviously still think about those. There's a lot of great moments. You're coming in as a fresh face. What is it like to kind of navigate that? I know the team has kind of come out and said, like, we didn't win anything last year. Mark Briggs has said that a lot. But what is it like to come in as, like, an outsider thinking, yeah, those great moments happened last year, but, like, I don't – that wasn't me. What is that like for you, I guess?
Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of a pressure to make more of those moments for the fans, for the club, and stuff like that. But you gotta take everything with stride. You're a new team. You're a different team this year that has new goals, and like the success that group had last year is great for the club, great for the fans and stuff. But we have new goals this year that we want to achieve, and that's kind of where my mindset's at right now.
Gotcha. Have you been to? I know that the club and the guys went to Restore Hyper Wellness a couple weeks ago. Was that right?
I have not been there yet.
You haven't been there? Are you a cryo guy?
Yeah, I mean, I did it a decent amount in
Yeah.
my old clubs and stuff like that, but I haven't got out there yet. But I mean, they're pretty close to my apartment, so I'll definitely be checking out that spot out.
Gotcha. Which group of guys? Like we kind of did this on media day, and I remember we talked about it a little bit. But what guys for you are when when they step on the field with you, they're going to be specifically at practice. They're going to be giving you a hard time. They're going to be making fun of you. Like who are we talked about the funniest guys, but like who are the guys who like, all right, I got it. This guy's going to get at me if I don't.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jack Gurr have got a really good relationship playing on that right side together a little bit. And so when I make an errant pass, he's like, "Who are you passing to?" There is like, is there a ghost player out there we don't see? And
he can give a quick dirty look, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and
he does it to the official a lot.
He's an extremely competitive guy too.
Right.
I think that's why me and him get along so well. And I mean, all the guys, because they're such good players, if you are off it a little bit, they're gonna let you know. But like I said, Luis Felipe, I think he's a really, really good player. Just how he commands the midfield, the way he does is important. And then Danny's always on me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But the group is really good. And
what guys are you like kind of understanding their tendencies the fastest? Jack obviously being one of them. He assisted you. You assisted him in return.
Yeah, definitely. I think. Like I said, Luis, me and him have being able to combine through the midfield. I think we've done it a couple times really well. And then I'm still working on communicating with Sebastian just because of the language barrier. But the different types of runs that we're making for our midfielders and for our defenders above the ball is we're starting to get on the same page as well. So.
What is that like with the language barrier? How are you guys communicating?
I mean, it's a lot of like hand gestures. Like if I go here, you need to go here, and he's like, if he wants the ball to his feet, he'll let me know that with hand gestures. But I mean, he's an extremely intelligent player and a really gifted player, and so when he's in those 1v1 situations, I try to get him the ball as much as I can, and almost once I play into him, I just try to make a dynamic run off him. And try to get into good positions. And like that goal against Charleston, into him, I make a run off him. He slips me, and I slip it to Jack. And those kind of things, I think we're becoming really good at.
Yeah, the goals this year have been just impressive, especially the first two, where it's kind of team goals. Yeah. Everybody kind of chipping in a little bit. Last question for you, because I want to wrap up here. We had like a little fan fest. That you had scored 2 goals that day, and in my head, I'm watching the fans and everything, and I'm like, oh man. Russell's going to get hit today because nobody's met him yet. He scored 2 goals, but you had a big old line behind you, people trying to meet you. What was that like?
That was super cool. I was signing away, but I was making friends. Everybody was extremely nice. They were happy to see me score a couple goals in front of them. I was pumped, even though it was a preseason game. Scoring goals is always fun, but definitely to see the lineup was extremely cool, and I hope those guys enjoyed it as well.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Well, thanks for taking the time to do this, man. This was super fun. 25 minutes went by pretty fast.
No,
right?
definitely. Yeah, that was quick. Yeah.
I know. And listen, man, I'm telling you, that's what we try to do. You sit down, the lights come on, you're not even paying attention.
Exactly.
You're just talking, having a conversation.
Man. I love it. Right. Yeah. No, this was super fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you for doing it, man, and good luck on Saturday.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Yep.